All right.
Hello and welcome to Separating Personal and Business Finance. And thank you for attending.
And hang on just 1 second here. I just want to make sure that everything's coming through. And can everybody hear and see us? Is the critical thing. So
I can.
that is the critical thing. Everybody out there. So hey, everybody. Good morning. Can you all hear us and see us yet? So. All right. So Philip says you can hear us. Okay, that's good.
Awesome.
So it's the base start. So everybody, so hey, welcome to the event today. So let me actually get everything started here, and we'll make some introductions here before we get started. So hi everyone, I am Adam Farkas, and Paula Newsome is here on the line too. Paula, are you still there?
I am here.
So Paula, for everyone who is here this morning, she is the mastermind behind all of this. So Paula, thank you for throwing all this together for us today.
I just saw that there was a huge need in the market and wanted to make sure that the integrity of private practice remains for our patients. After all, if we take care of patients, they will certainly take care of us.
Absolutely. And so, we're going to just bounce right into our first presentation today because, we want to make sure that we maximize our speakers' time here today. And so we have a really great talk for everybody to start with. Nancy St. Jacobs here. So Nancy, if I think what we want to probably do is just quickly dive into it, and then people can start chatting with us as your presentation goes on. So if you want to actually turn your slides on in Zoom, we can probably get started with your talk.
You bet. Let's go share again. All right. Can you see that?
Yep. You just got to start your slideshow, and I think we'll be in good shape.
I want to get rid of this. And there you go. And my slideshow.
So,
and
there
I think
you go.
We're in business.
So go to resume slideshow, and I think it should start. Slideshow.
From the beginning?
Yep. And go to where it says resume slideshow. So in that little box. There we go. Perfect. Go for it.
Thank you. Without you, Dr. Farkas, I don't know how I would have done this. So thank you all for attending this webinar this morning that's called It's Not Personal, It's Business. And it's so important to know all of these details when you start your practice. What's important? What's the most important thing for you? How do you know what you should do without getting some consultants, right? So what we want to share today is the importance of separating your personal and business finances. Because Truist is a purpose-driven bank, we are all about supporting our small business community because we know small businesses are the backbone of this community, of all enterprise. So it's important for us to make information available, bring access and knowledge to everyone so that you're operating more efficiently and effectively. So let's just dig right in. Today's agenda will be more about understanding how to best set up your finances to meet all of your needs. And the presentation will be of 6 points, and we'll go through these. Don't hesitate to put your questions in the chat. We'll try to address those as best we can. And you will learn how the importance of separating your personal and business finances will truly impact how you operate and your profitability. And most importantly, your cash flow. We'll talk a little bit about setting goals and then reviewing those goals later on to refresh them to ensure that they're meeting your needs. And one of the things that we learned in 2020, and we'll talk more about, is paying yourself. When, how, and why is it important? And most of you probably have already done this, but if you haven't, and even if you have, we want to review your business structure. If you're in the right type of structure, and the type of organization that you have set up now, is it working for you? How to organize your business. That seems easy, right? But we'll talk more about how to organize your finances within the business Why is it talking about separating things? And how do you view that, right? And then at the last part, we'll end it with some financial accounting tools, those documents that the CPA asked for at the end of the year. And you said, what documents? Well, we'll get into that a little bit deeper. So let's start off by just thinking about your business. We won't share this morning about who you are in your business, what you do, but I would like for you to just enter that in the chat. Put in the chat the name of your business, what you do, how long have you been in that business, and any question that you have, and what your goals are for attending this webinar and all of these for this weekend. There is confidentiality. That's most important to us. And what we share here stays here. It's kind of like thinking about when you say the commercial of Vegas. What we discuss here is kept within this forum. So no worries, because it's important to us as it is to you. So the things that we discuss, maintain right here, because many of you will learn that, oh, that person has this type of business. It could help me and mine, and maintaining that circle of influence. So remember when you started your business and you said, I am going to college. I'm finishing all of this school because I would love to own my own business. I would like to do it for myself. What was your vision for success? I would like to just invite you to stop and think about what that means to you today as compared to what it meant to you when you initially thought about starting your own business. What was the vision for success for you? Give you a second to think about that. And do write these things down just so that you, if you're like me, I like to have a visual in front of me. And I look back at some of the things that I anticipated in my career in the beginning, and I compare it to where I am today. It's no more than when you look at pictures from when you were in college and you look at pictures today and you said, either I love where I am today, or I really wish I could start over and go back. So today will be a good picture of how you would like to view your business going forward. So why do we consider separating personal and business finances so important? What does that mean for you? Some of the reasons for separating is for your benefit. You have a clear vision of your business. When you are visiting with someone such as your banker or maybe an investor for your business, they want to know, tell me about your business. And when you have things separated, you understand your business very well, and you can speak clearly to how does your business operate, where you stand with your profitability and your outlook for the future, and where you'd like to go, and what would it take for you to get there. Sometimes it's most important for you to remember that there are personal liabilities that are in play. Depending upon how your business is structured, you want to protect your business and its assets from your personal assets and your personal liability. When you're looking to gain access to capital, if you sit in front of someone and they ask for certain financials, you're not scrambling to look for those things because you have them separated previously. You knew that from the start, that in the event that I'm looking to grow my business and I am asking for access to capital, I can show the difference between my personal assets and my business assets and those finances. That's clear to me, and I can present clear documents to my banker. There are also some tax implications that are in play because if there is any indication that there would be an audit or review, it would only affect one and not the other. So remember to always keep those two things separate for that reason as well. And that's one of the most important reasons of all. And then there's financial accounts that are in the business's name that should not affect your personal finances. And last, but definitely not least, very important is it just gives you peace of mind. You can sleep at night. You have peace of mind knowing that one thing does not affect the other. Okay. So when we discuss goals, what does it mean for you? And why should you set goals? Why is that important for you? Let's go through 4 different segments of how that would affect your business. You set goals in the beginning because you knew that you wanted to own your own business. You had a vision for that business, and you said, okay, I will either go solo or I will have a partner. Either way you go, you will sit down to create some goals, some business goals, a business plan, and moving forward, that would assist you when you are, again, looking to expand the business and someone asks you questions about it. That business structure and those impact goals are very important. The business structure could be one of many, and we'll review that. That would determine whether or not you would change it or stay where you are, whether you are looking for a partner or you prefer to keep things as they are. And would you work alone or would you have employees? And how many? Would you have contractors? What would that mean for your business? Are you looking to just create a business and allow someone else with the expertise to continue operating it, and you would be a passive investor or more of a consultant for that business? So think about that as far as your business structure. Your personal income goals would mean anything from, did you create this business to supplement what you're currently doing if you're working for someone else? If you're working for a larger organization and you'd like to start your practice on the side for a while, or would you like to jump in right away? What is your personal income goal for your business? Did you do this to supplement your current job, or did you look to have something that you could help family? Are you looking to create something that would help your family and employ them as your employees and your staff of your practice? Then your personal commitment goals. Many times we start something because we know that this is a necessary in the community. We want to do something good, but do my skills align with the need? Or would I need to have someone else do this and I will continue to advise them and help them? So there's a social impact mission there as well. We start businesses sometimes on the side, separate from what we do, just to help in the community. And I can give you an example. There was a dental practice in Seattle that I worked with. They were my clients for many years. But on Saturdays, they opened their practice simply to give their services at no cost to a community of low to moderate income. So those neighbors looked forward to that every Saturday. I think it was the first Saturday of every month, just to get this thing that did not cost them. And it was a great service. So I admire them for that, but that was their personal commitment goal to a community in need. And then we have some growth goals. Do you want to stay small or do you want to have another location? Would you like to own a franchise? Did you look to maintain a small operation, or are you looking to employ several people and add value that way? Did you want to have investors in the future? Did you want to show your business as growing and scalable and something that someone else is looking at to invest? Never forget, others are always looking at your business. Sometimes investors are looking for the next great thing, especially when it comes to medical practices and tech businesses. They're looking for something that's on a growth scale. So if your business is operating efficiently and you have looked at your goals, you have set them properly, you're satisfied with the goals that you've set. Now, is it time to refresh those goals and review them? Because it's important for you to consider where you started to where you are today and the goals that you set. Are you in line to meet those goals? So it's very, very important to refresh your goals, see how it's working, have an advisor who's already in that practice review them. Make sure you have a business consultant at hand. So now that we've reviewed all that, I know it was quite a lot. Let's talk about your goals for your business. What were your goals? This is your time. I'd like for you to take a moment and just jot down some things about your goals for the business impact, your business's structure. Is it working for you? Is it applicable for how you're operating today? Because your goals in the beginning perhaps might be different from now, even if that was 6 months ago. As in any job, the first 6 months will determine your growth. Am I understanding this? Am I getting it? Am I moving forward? 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 Am I mov Am I profitable? Does this work? Am I adding to this small business community? Are your personal goals being met? If they're not, then there's some things you might want to revisit and change. Perhaps this isn't the way that you intended it to go, and you would like to look at some other alternatives of how you want to continue in your practice. And for what you envisioned to meet your personal commitment goals to the business, how is that working for you today? And what growth goals have you set? If you haven't set growth goals, I would advise that you do that. That's one of the things that helps you to understand whether or not you're being profitable. Most business owners set 3-year goals. They want to know how my business is compared to the previous year. By year 3, you compare it to year 2 and to 1. If it's lying flat, again, you'd like to have an advisor help decide, are you on track? And if not, what gaps did you have that did not help you to meet the goals and help you get on a trajectory that you planned that was meeting your business plan? Hopefully this is making sense and it's helpful, because this is the way that businesses were intended to operate. And hopefully this is the way that you have seen yourself going. Okay. If on the next slide, this particular area is very important. And I'd like to stop and take a couple of minutes to talk about why we wanted to include this in this presentation. Small businesses are very important. We know that. What you provide has been so instrumental in helping larger businesses. So if you're a smaller practice that is getting started, that's fantastic. View that in light of how you want to view your business going forward. Do you want to stay with yourself, or will you become a part of a larger practice? I set all of this to help you understand why it's important to pay yourself. And during the pandemic of 2020, we had a program that was offered to all business owners that was a part of the payroll protection program for business owners who had banking relationships, who understood the program, who were able to call their banker and ask the question, I would like to participate in this, but how will this affect me? And how will I need to be set up in order to take part in the payroll protection plan? For those business owners who had never paid themselves, they were not eligible during the first round. There was an opportunity for them to participate later on in the next round of payroll. However, those who were initially set up by paying themselves, they were set up for success. So I wanted to say that to tell you there are many facets to the importance of paying yourself as a business owner. So I'd like to advise that you sit down with your CPA or your tax advisor and your business consultant to determine when and how much, what percentage of the business would be advisable for you to take out of the business to pay yourself. And there are a couple of ways that we do that. Okay, we want to talk about a regular paycheck. What's the advantage of doing that? A regular paycheck would allow you some stability and predictability. You will know exactly how much you will make every month or semi-monthly or bi-weekly. Whatever your decisions are, understand that the business will not get the funds that you have taken out for your own personal income. And that's necessary. So what I'm saying is, as you're growing that business, if you're not putting the money, the funds, the profitability, and the revenues back into the business to help it continue to grow, and you're taking your salary, just remember, those are funds that are accountable that did not go in, and it doesn't add to the growth of the business. And as you can see on this slide, yes, it does affect the Social Security benefits and your retirement plan. And you want to look for ways to gauge that, to earn extra funds coming back into the business. Perhaps you are looking at having an owner's draw. That is not as predictable. It's only funds that you would take from the business as the business is profitable. And there may be an opportunity for you to take some funds at the end of the year from the profitability of the business. But that is a less predictable way to pay yourself. And perhaps that is not a concern for you because you already have another stream of income. So consider those two places of how you could have an income coming in. There are a couple of other ways that I'd like to introduce to you. Perhaps you want to take a distribution of the profits as the business continues to grow and you've had a slush of profit at the end of the quarter, halfway through the year, or at the end of the year. Whatever that may be, and however you have considered doing that, ensure that that would be the time of year that you would pay yourself through that distribution. Another would be to prepare for a retirement plan, and you would pay yourself from that. Maybe you would get that perhaps throughout the year or at the end of your retirement. That was simply to build a retirement nest egg for yourself. Not many people would want to do that, but sometimes it works for some. And then there may be an opportunity for you to have your building, your practice is at this particular location. You lease the property, you buy that property, and then have the business lease the property from you. So that is another way of building your income through a business line. And then that may be having the family members work for the practice because it just keeps the business within the family and keeps funding right there within the family. And so many people want to do that because they want to pass that business on to another family member. They are working in the business now, and it's just a way of keeping everything within the family. So as we move forward, think about this. What are your personal financial goals? We all had one. My brother started his business, and his first statement when my father asked him, why did you want to start your own business? Why didn't you like working for the company? He simply said, I want to be my own boss. I have done this for someone else for so long. I'd like to do it for myself, and I want to grow my own business. I have done this long enough to know how to do it. And he had his business plan set to where he could have his own personal financial needs met through his business. And his business continued to grow because he had the vision and he wrote it down. He did not initially refresh his business goals until his advisor told him, Don, if you don't change some things, if you are continuing to operate in the same manner, you will stay right where you are. So it's important to relook at this, look at where you were in the beginning, look at your goals and see if they're meeting what you initially established. Okay. Now think about your personal financial goals in terms of how and when you pay yourself. That is determined by your profitability. If you're comfortable with that, and again, I will repeat myself over and over of the importance of meeting with your CPA or your tax advisor because they can give you more information legally as it applies to your tax implications. Okay, so understand that when you pay yourself and how you pay yourself is ultimately the most important thing that you do because you did go into business so that you could make an income and have a decent revenue stream. Remember when we discussed business structure and organization in the beginning, and I said that would be very, very important for you to consider as you grow. If you started your business as a sole proprietor and you did that 10 years ago, that tells me, and it should be an indication to you that you haven't refreshed your goals. You haven't reviewed them. If you are in a general partnership, how is that working for you? And was it the right thing for you? There is no harm, no foul in restructuring, but it's important to understand the implications regarding that structure. That could be the ownership, any tax implications, any liabilities, because remember, it's important to keep those things separate, your personal and your business. One of those most important places as far as tax implications. There are pros and cons when it comes to your legal structure and the organization that you have. With a limited liability company, remember what that means. As far as the members are protected from their personal liability is not affected by the debts and claims. They're protected from that because it's all set up under the business. When it's an S Corp, the owners have a limited amount of liability. And in a C Corp, the shareholders have limited liability. This page will be your best friend as you move forward. But again, please check with your tax advisor as the most important way for your particular business to be set up. All different practices, whatever your business is, has different implications as far as taxes, liability, and ownership. And this page is one of those pieces that will help guide you. Remember, this is just a guide point. You will want to have someone who speaks into your business, such as your tax advisor, your CPA, or your business advisor. And be sure to check with your banker regarding any bank accounts that you currently have set up, if it's structured properly. And when you registered your business with your state, did you choose the right structure at that time? And remember, there's no harm in changing those things to meet the needs that you have. So I want to address some of the organizational items that are most important. And just remember, you in your particular practice, you understand the importance of the licenses. So different businesses have different organizational items that are most important to them. And I'd like to just cover them shortly, very briefly for you. The permits, licenses, and insurance, those are basic. Those are the things that you must have to start. One of the other things that I do want to spend a little time on is remember to protect your intellectual capital. That's very important. Whatever your brand is, whatever your name of the business is, that is yours. That has a value. That's very important to you. And no one can take that away from you or use it without your permission. So you would like to have that protected, those trademarks, your service marks, your business name, and any tagline that you have. Those are trademarks, and you want to protect those by branding them and protecting that intellectual capital, that intellectual property. Seek the advice of your CPA. So if you're a startup, let's just say I've never started my business, Nancy. What should I do? What are those first steps? Select your business name. It must be very unique. And one of the things that I have really enjoyed is watching business owners and they're choosing their business names. It's so fun because they're very unique to the type of business that you're in. And it sticks out, it stands out, it helps people to remember you. Set up your business ID. What does that mean? It has its own numbers. The numbering system for either your tax ID number, your DUNS number, all of those are important and identifies you and your business. Register your business domain online. And some people have said that I want mine to rise to the top when they look for dentists. I want my business name to be at the very top. Depends on how you've structured that, but register it nonetheless and choose your legal structure as we just covered. How much money do I need to start to get? How much money will I need to get started? That's between you and your CPA and what you want, how you want to function. What is your functionality? How much would you need for your equipment? How much would you need to get started before you would start to receive payments through insurance or private pay? What would that mean for the business's stability? I would always advise that you have saved aside 6 months of salary just in case you're not receiving payments right away. 6 months of any loan that you've taken out, sorry. Your owner income. Remember, how much would that be? How much did I invest into my business? What would I need to do going forward? Maintain that, or will I trail off after 1 year, 2 years? You have office equipment that you want. You will need to maybe perhaps lease a space in the beginning. Perhaps you might want to purchase. Maybe you want to join someone else. You'll have costs that are involved in that. And then you have to pay your professional advisors. There are people who are going to set up all of those things for you, such as your business name. They will set up your legal structure. They'll help you find your domain. You'll have IT people. You'll have a front desk receptionist. You might have someone who's virtual. All of those are costs that are built in to starting your business. And maybe you'll have some contractors. Nonetheless, you will want to pay them if you want to maintain their expertise. And then you have some other supplies and ancillary inventory that you would want to keep on hand. So maintain those thoughts as we move forward and take some notes, because these are the things that help you with your success. And I want to just throw in a caveat here. Sometimes that means using some personal income to help you get started for your business. The one thing that we will learn throughout is maintaining good records of separation. All of the funding that you used of personal income to help offset some of the costs for starting the business, you will want to have clear records and keep that where you could present that if ever asked for those documents. So how do we organize your finances? How do you do that? Let's talk about how we accept payments, how we make payments as business owners, and what type of accounting documents would we need? How do we keep those records? First of all, who are your clients? Who's paying you? How often do they pay you? What do they pay you with? Do you accept only checks? Do you accept debit cards? Do you accept credit cards? What payment system are you using? Do you only take in-person payments? Do you allow people to pay you online? Do you allow Zelle, PayPal, and those types of services? Venmo? Those all come into play when you consider, how do I accept payment? What is most convenient for my clients? What will keep people coming back to me for convenience sake? They want to pay the way they choose to pay. And do I have that established within my system? What forms of payment will you take affects the way people would like to do business with you. And matter of fact, I had a client once whose payment system went down over toward the end of the week. She did not have payments coming in that Thursday, Friday, and on Monday, when someone came to assist her, she had clients who were going to make payment on Monday because they were unable to make payment on Thursday and Friday because she did not take checks. She only would accept payment through debit card and credit card. So we don't want to limit ourselves in the way that we accept our payments, because it helps your practice to grow and continue to gain revenue. So let's talk a little bit about how you make payments. You have vendors, you have suppliers, they're accepting payments. Consider how they accept payments as opposed to how you accept payments. They are pretty much the same. Some of them accept payments through invoice. They will invoice you for payment. Do you invoice? And if you do, how long are you extending your invoices? Is it 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, God forbid? Because that determines whether or not you are collecting payments within a timely manner. And if you are, that has your revenue stream on a continuous growth basis, and you're not looking and chasing after payments. Besides, that would be time out of the office, time away from your practice, time that you should pay for your clients, spending with your clients, as opposed to doing reconciling of records of past due payments. Now, if your vendors are accepting payments in a variety of ways, are they allowing you any types of specialties? So if you were to pay within 30 days, do they get any type of discount? Are you able to take advantage of discounts if you pay everything off immediately? If you pay by cash, will they give you a cash discount? So think about the way that you pay your vendors, and you would like to keep funds within the practice. Are your vendors allowing you to make money as you make your payments? So think about that and exercise your right to talk with your vendors and your suppliers and ask, do you get any type of discount if you make your payments within 30 days or immediately? And consider how you're paying them. Are you able to pay them through invoice, or Do they allow you to write a check? Do they allow you to pay with debit, credit, or do they allow you to pay online, or do you need to pay in person at the time of delivery? Those are things that you want to consider. And write notes about that was a good tip because I want to execute that and exercise my right, possibly to get an income decrease, get an income increase because I'm paying out less to my vendors and suppliers as I get my inventory into the office. So how quickly will they need to be paid is important too. And what form will they take? So those are the things that we want to consider whenever we're making payments as business owners. So the accounting software that you use is important as well. Be sure to ask your banker what type of software is compatible with the software that you use here at XYZ Bank. I want to make sure that I am using the type of software that is best for my practice, but I also want to ensure that it is compatible to the software that I would need to use to meet the needs of my bank and what I am offered through here. So if your bank accepts QuickBooks and you set up QuickBooks, great. But if your bank only accepts a different type of software and you have purchased QuickBooks, that wasn't a very good purchase because it wouldn't work for you in maintaining your books. Maybe your bookkeeper keeps that, or your CPA. They are keeping the books for you. Nonetheless, those things should be on your system for you to review as often as you'd like. And you have a clear picture of what's happening within the business on a daily basis, whether you review that at the end of the day, or that's the first thing you do every morning, as most business owners do. You want to take a look at that on your software system. It helps you maintain a view of what's happening in the business. And if there were any gaps, you can clearly see it from reviewing your software and the documents and the accounting documents that you have. Are you keeping track of those things right now? Because if you are, maybe you might want to review that, because that may be a time that, again, you could work within the practice and have someone else taking care of those things for you. Consider how you will get your accounting done. Is it through the CPA? Is it through your tax accountant? Or is it through your bookkeeper or your front desk personnel? Okay. Give you a moment to absorb all of that. I know that's quite a bit, but those are things that are most important, and the things that we as business bankers, we hear this and we have heard this for several years. In fact, I've been working with business clients for 26 years, and I've seen quite a bit. And some of these things sound routine. They can sound very routine for bankers, but it is not the practice of physicians and dentists and optometrists. That is not your field of expertise. So we never take for granted that that is something that comes to mind. And we always want to advise that you sit down with your banker, ask them questions about, how does this look? My CPA and I have met. Does this sound feasible? Is this what banks are looking for? In this next transition, those are the things that we'll talk about. The tools and people who can help you stay organized with your cash flow, your profit and loss, and collections. Okay, those are the reports that you'll always want to review. Your profit and loss statement is a picture of where you are. Where am I? Where is the practice this month as compared to last month? Okay. Am I meeting the goals that I set? Am I being profitable, or am I lagging? And why? Where can I identify the gap? Your cash flow statement is of utmost importance. That tells a banker and anyone who wants to review your business. I call it the overview, the view from overhead, looking down into the business. It tells me what you look like. It tells me over the last 6 months what has happened, from everything from all of your expenditures to everything that you've brought in, those things that happen monthly, annually, and quarterly, what loans you have outstanding, and how long will it be before those things are paid down. Any collections. There have been business owners who've come to see me, and they typically invoice. So they have books that are for accounts receivables. They will tell me what their need is and how much they'd like to borrow. And my next question is, great, let's take a look at your books. I'd like to see your cash flow statement, your profit and loss statement, and let me see your accounts receivables. I would like to take a look into that. Many times I've found that, well, oftentimes I've found that my business owner did not really need as to borrow as much as they needed to collect. They were behind on their receivables. Therefore, they needed to just spend time or have someone doing the collections for them. And that would make up for the gap in their receivables. And therefore, they didn't really need to borrow. So bear in mind, have a clear view of your business, understand your profit and loss statement, understand your cash flow. And if that all sounds Greek to you at this time, and I would imagine it would, please sit down with your banker as well as your CPA to have a better understanding of your practice and your revenue stream for the business. So the accounting tools, I will not go through all of that and bore you to death with it, but these are some things that I would advise that you do and have in place for the business because they are important. So to handle your basic transactional needs on a day-to-day basis, obviously, you will need a business checking account. That just shows how much is coming in and what's going out. To build up your reserves for tax purposes, for emergencies, and for some of the office expenditures that you maybe were unexpected, you want to have a money market account, business savings account, because those things are important for you in determining, am I earning any interest on it? Might not be a lot of interest to begin with, but do your homework, ask questions, make what you can from your money market and business savings account, but it's important for you to have those things in place. The other is understanding how receiving payments from your clients, how you make payments, and if you're using a credit card, earn something from your business credit card. Look for some of the ways that you could get points or cash back. Like me, I like air miles. So I always look for the credit card that will give me air points. And then how we make payments directly from your account. Do you have those things set up for bill pay? And then last but not least, please pay yourself. Ensure that you have that payroll set up, whether that's in-house or you're using an external source, such as a payroll company, okay? And then monitor that. As I mentioned earlier, be sure you're looking at that every morning or in the evening, but stay on top of your business accounting. So I know it was a lot. It sounded like a lot, but I hope that was helpful for you. But you do have a little homework for me. This is for you, and I hope that you would take care of these particular next steps. Here are the steps that I'd like for you to consider. Set up your business finances for success, okay? And the things that you would want to do is set goals for the business. Anyone who does anything without a plan plans to fail. So you want to set goals for performance. You want to see your business at a certain point. Everyone has a goal for their business. They said many times, they'll say, I'm going to make my first million in the first 3 years of my business. Congratulations. That sounds fantastic and doable, but it's a goal nonetheless. Set goals for your personal income. How much will you pay yourself from the business? And make sure that you have the right type of business structure. Again, you want to seek advice to ensure that you have the right type of structure for your business. The accounting software that you choose to help organize your finances, be sure that it matches and that it is appropriate for your type of business. You have many choices out there. QuickBooks is just one of them. Use business accounts and payment system. And foster a business network. Build your own community. Network with others. Sometimes it may be someone who's in a different industry than you, but the way that they are doing their business could be very helpful for you. Make sure you have your accountant, you have an attorney, and you have your banker. Those three people are so important to you, and a business consultant. and that could be your banker. But be sure that you have your network built around you because number one, it builds up your confidence in your business and you, because you've now established a foundation for the business. You have a crew. You have people who will help you, those who will speak into your business and understand some of the things that keep you up at night and help you to think things differently. There are organizations in the community that help business owners to learn to scale. Some of those sometimes could be an organization that is called SCORE, and that's Service Corps of Retired Executives. That is what SCORE means. They are funded through the SBA. Therefore, there is no cost to you. There is the Economic Development Centers. They are also funded through the county or SBA or the government. Nonetheless, there is no cost to you. They just speak advice into your business as well as some of the business development centers in your community. Build that network that will help to create up a bubble for you as you grow. And one day you will burst through the bubble and others will come to you for advice. So today I want you to consider and write down, what are your 3 key takeaways? What takeaways do you have from today's webinar? How did this work for you? What are 3 things that you can surely and clearly come away with, take to your CPA or your banker and sit down and say, I attended a webinar about separating personal and business finance. These are the things that will help me set me up for success, set my business up for a trajectory of success. Help me go forward. And that is our business as bankers. We're here to help you. So any questions that you might have from today's session, please put them in the chat. I hope this helped you with completing the exercises in the workbook that is yours to keep. You will always have that to refer to in the future if you think about some of the things that we discussed. And there are folks who can review some of the solutions that would help you with your business if you don't have those things in place today. So listen to your goals, listen to your plans, and help you with your next steps. That is what your banker and your CPA and your business advisor, that is what they're here to do. We are here for you as Truist bankers. We're here to help you as well. And we're also here to connect you with any resources that are necessary for you to continue and any advice that you need. So this is the end of the presentation, and I hope that this was very helpful for you. And we're here to answer any of your questions that you might have. Thank you so much for listening.
Great. All right. Well, thank you, Nancy. That was really great. And again, if anybody has any questions, feel free to type them right into the chat box. We have a few minutes here before we're going to be moving on to the next presentation. So we definitely have time for questions. So feel free, if you have any questions, to put them in the box. I guess I had one question for you, Nancy, as I was listening to all of this. If you're a small business, and I know a lot of us are, we're just starting out, and you're opening an account, with the bank, even if you're a tiny business, will most banks actually give you the time to sit and talk to someone, to try to actually map all this stuff out? Because it seems like an awful lot of work.
Yes, it is. Thank you. That's a great question, Dr. Farkas. Great question. I think that's the best time for a business owner to come in, is that when they have those questions and they're thinking of starting their business, go and sit down with your banker. If you don't currently have one, do some homework and do some research on those different banks. See which ones are focused on small businesses. There are banks out there that will tell you that that is our foundation. This is who we support. We have the resources. So sit down with a banker to discuss your goals, what you're looking to achieve, the type of business that you have. And many times they've seen business owners like yours, and they have some expertise in helping you get started and answering the questions that you have. If they don't have the answers, they work with a team of people who do, whether it's internal or external. But trust me, they can help. I've been on that side where it might not be me, but it might be my colleague, my teammate, Rondell, who could go more in depth in answering the questions that a business owner might have. So hopefully that will help. Did that help answer your question, Dr. Farkas?
Yeah, absolutely. And in fact, someone, in the chat, Dr. Silberberg here actually mentioned, also try and find a CPA that really knows your industry, which can actually be really useful as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I often recommend that to business owners when they sit with me and we talk about their business and they have some specific questions, especially when it comes to tax implications, growth, making a large purchase. The first person I tell them to is, have you spoken to your CPA? Because their CPA usually can tell them the best time to do it based upon their books, their growth, where they are and where that CPA is helping them to go. And to sit with their banker to determine, like when they come to me, there are parts of that question that I am best suited to answer, but a CPA can definitely guide them along the way of when it comes to making purchases and any type of growth.
Quick question.
Yes, ma'am.
Big bank, small bank. What's the difference? How do you determine what would be the best fit for a practice?
I will allow my friend, Mr. Gaddis, to answer that question.
Thank you, Nancy. A big bank, a small bank, they all have products and services that fits your practice. I would strongly encourage you to research the products and services and see what the benefit is for your practice first. Second, I will say interview both banks and see that if their service meets your need. And thirdly, who can provide you the best advice to help grow your practice. That's when you determine if a big bank or small bank. Sorry about that. But what I also would strongly encourage that big banks do have a lot of more resources that can provide you business insights and information that help you grow your business. So that's why I do recommend that you go to both banks, but I do strongly encourage to go to the bank that can provide you the most information to help grow your business.
That's exactly right. I agree with you 100%. And Dr. Farkas, your question about CPAs, I was just sitting here listening and thinking, yes, that question that was asked about, should I consult with a CPA that speaks more into my industry? Yes. And how do you find that? Sometimes your banker may have information regarding different types of CPAs who specialize in certain types of businesses. And then there are other organizations within the community, such as I mentioned before, SCORE, the Economic Development Center, Business Development Centers, and as simple as Googling CPAs who specialize in medical practice. They are there. And you say perhaps, well, do I really need someone who understands my industry? Sometimes that's most helpful, but it's all a decision of the business owner.
Yep, absolutely. Well, great. So if anybody has any other questions, feel free to fire away. Just type right into the chat box at the bottom of the screen and we can try to get those taken care of.
In the meantime, if there are no other questions, until there are questions, I did want to just mention that this webinar was focused on a bird's eye view for your profitability, sustainability, and scaling. It takes a village. And I wanted to just say that you want your team. You would like, as a business owner, to have your team of folks who will assist you in that profitability, sustainability, and growth stage. You want your CPA. You'd like to have your attorney, your business advisor, and your banker, and speak with them often. I would recommend that you visit with your banker as often as possible. There is no cost to sit down and talk to them, get their advice, make that relationship work for you. If you're currently banking someplace that you have your business accounts, be sure to go in, schedule a time to meet with your banker and discuss your business with them as well as your goals. They want to see your goals. They want to be a part of that practice. As much as you want them to be, they want to be a part of it to help you because it's everyone's goal to see you successful.
Absolutely. And one of the other interesting things, I was just thinking about it as well, and the way things have changed over the last, God, I don't know, 30 years. Obviously, what we're doing right now is remote. And I know that a lot of folks, particularly in eye care, they're starting to use more professionals remotely. So for instance, if you can't find a CPA in your community who really knows your business, these days it's incredibly easy to just reach out to the internet and find somebody who does. I know my accountant is actually 2,000 miles from me. And, it doesn't make a difference, right? Because we're in constant communication with each other.
You're exactly right. I'm sort of like you. My CPA is in California.
Yeah.
The person who does everything for me is in California, and I'm in Texas. And not that I couldn't find someone here. I just established a relationship several years ago. And I maintain that relationship because it has been so effective for me.
Yep. Yeah. Although my wife would tell me that I'm just in a rut. So I started with my accountant 30 years ago, and she's like, aren't you ever going to change? I'm like, nah, it's fine. He knows our business. And, there's something to be said for that, right? For building that relationship over years instead of just starting over with someone. So, yeah.
Exactly. And you refreshed your goals with that individual, and they've spoken into your business and they've helped you along the way, and it works.
Yep.
So
absolutely.
Thank you for that.
Sure. Okay, well, it looks like we're coming up to the end here. And I know the way the software works, so just so people aren't shocked and alarmed, the way the software should work is that at the end of this class period and when the next one starts, the software should automatically push people into the next lecture. So if we all disappear here and then something new comes up, that's just actually what's happening. If it doesn't refresh and all of a sudden you're just getting a black screen or whatever, you can just hit refresh on the screen and then it'll move into the next lecture. So Nancy, thank you so much for being here today. And again, this is going to be recorded, so people might actually be watching this, weeks or months later. So thank you for doing this. This is going to be a really valuable resource for folks.
Thank you for having me.
All right. And Paula, I don't know if you're still there. Maybe not. So
I am.
Oh, you are.
I'm here.
Oh, you're still here. Good. Good.
And I enjoyed that. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I'm in Charlotte, where there are at least 4 to 5 bank headquarters down the street. Some of the buildings are taller than others. And so it's always refreshing to hear bankers say, don't hesitate to use them, that they want to be involved in your success. They want to know about your goals, and the relationship is just so important. So thank you so much, Ms. St. Jacob, for sharing those insights with us.
Yeah, it was great, and it's right. I think some of us probably feel like, we don't want to be a pest or a nuisance to our the banks, and we're small and they don't want to hear from us, but they really do. And it's funny, actually. I don't know if you don't know this, but Truist is actually our bank for ODwire since we started in Florida. So it's we've been using them for 30 years or whatever it is, and it's just so funny because to this day, even though I'm, literally on the other side of the country, if I need to reach out to my bankers in Florida, the people who I started working with back then are still there. And it's actually incredibly important to still stay in contact with them.
I agree. Headquartered right down the street. Literally.
Okay, so let me actually pull up on the screen here so people can see. We are probably going to be moving on into our next lecture here very soon, actually, right, which is on preventing burnout. And again, the system should automatically push people from what we're doing here right now into the next class. And for whatever reason, if it doesn't, you can always hit refresh on your web browser. If you know that the class was supposed to start at a certain time and, oh my gosh, it's not moving anywhere, you can hit refresh and it'll take you there, because we can pull up the schedule here and try to see what time the next class was supposed to start. It was, let's see. I should know this, right? I'm the person who actually made the schedule. Shows you how together I am here at 6 in the morning.
Preventing burnout, Dr. Gina Newsome Duncan. She's a board certified psychiatrist.
Yep, and so that lecture is actually scheduled to start at 9:10 Eastern time. So in 10 minutes, what should happen is the system should automatically push everyone away from us into that particular talk. So fingers crossed that everything's going to be working as planned this morning. Obviously this is the first one. It's funny. It's always the very first lecture of the first day whenever we do one of these things that has us on alert for any problems that people are having. So this morning, while we were dealing with all this, I was helping people log in who were having trouble and so forth. So it's always that first hour. But once that's done, usually it's smooth sailing. So far, so good. And by the way, if anyone has any questions, feel free to type them into the chat right now, since we do have a little bit of time in between the talks. And looking ahead, we have several other talks coming up today as well with Dr. Vaughn. And of course, Paula, your class is coming up as well. So today's going to be a busy day. Dr. Wortman's class. And Annette's got one coming up. And then Craig, of course, is going to be here at the end talking about codes that you may not have considered. So that should be an interesting one as well. And hopefully all of our speakers actually made it here today. I'm actually looking to make sure that they're all here to answer questions. Seems like everybody is.
They are.
Great. I know Craig had a little bit of an issue getting in this morning. Again, it's always that first hour where we just sort of warming the software up. Yeah, so Craig actually has an interesting note in the chat here. Remind all ODs asking for loans from bankers to never take no for an answer when asking for money. So go on to the next bank. Absolutely. So Craig's absolutely right. Don't just stop at one bank, right? That's why there's more than one, and you should always keep moving on if one rejects you, for sure. Carol asks a question here: how soon will replays be available? And the answer is it should be immediate. If you come back after the weekend's over, you should actually be able to access all of these courses on demand. The one that might be a sticking point is literally the one that we just did right now, because this one was live, so we have to archive that one and put it up. But that shouldn't take too long. By Monday, that'll be in place, if not sooner. So the rest of these should all be available relatively quickly or immediately. And I know that I got an email from someone asking, it said the conference is over. So the system accidentally sent out an email to everyone about 15 minutes ago saying the conference had ended. That was incorrect. Of course it hadn't. That was a bug. So again, obviously the first time we do this each year, we discover the bugs. And that was a bug that the conference, when I first started setting it up, was only, whatever it was, one lecture long. Before I started adding all the other content. And so there was a bug where the system didn't realize that we added all these other lectures to it. So it thought the conference was over, but obviously it is not over. So you can ignore that email that it sent. Craig actually follows up here that he went to 8 banks before he had his building loan approved. So very interesting. So I think what Craig is touching on too is that different banks have different risk profiles that they use, and they have different criteria that they use. Some banks might be much more willing to lend on property, let's say, than others. And so it's just a matter of finding the right one.
Which is why I asked the question about big banks versus small banks. Don't be afraid to shop, as Craig said. Dr. Thomas, don't be afraid to shop around if you get a rejection. My middle initial is R for Renee, and I thought the R stood for rejection because I got rejected by the first 2 or 3 that I went to as well. But I think by the time I got to the 3rd or the 4th when I was prepared, and I did use SCORE, just to speak to what Nancy St. Jacob, one of the agencies that she mentioned, I did use the Senior Corps of Retired Executives. They were very helpful.
Excellent. Yeah. It is interesting, though. You always like to think that banks are like this giant monolith and they're all just operate the same and have the same criteria, but that couldn't be further from the truth.
Absolutely.
It's really interesting how different every bank is. Okay, so it looks like in 4 minutes, in theory, the software. Oh, there we go. So I guess people are not hearing me anymore, and we're. And Paula, I don't know if you actually saw on the chat now, so it should have moved you. It's moving everyone to the next room, so people can't hear us anymore.
Oh, good. That's great. That's great, actually.